Hi, my name's Simon from CramTheExam.com and welcome to another walkthrough video where I take another CAE exam question, tell you what the answers are and explain why I think the answers are the answers to hopefully help you in your preparation to get ready for the CAE or Matura Advanced exam. In this video we're going to have a look at a listening part 1 question from engexam.info. If you haven't had the chance to go along to engexam.info, you'll see a link to the website in the video description below, and you'll also see a link to this exercise as well. I really recommend you check it out. There are a huge amount of resources available to help you get ready for your CAE or Matura Advanced exam. Now, we've got a part 1 listening question, multiple choice based on 3 different extracts. The name of the game here is to listen to the extracts, obviously. Try to select the important vocabulary, which creates our vocabulary links. And sometimes it's not obvious. If someone is saying something positive, then that might mean the vocabulary link is something which is negative, and we're going to see that in this question as well. We're also going to be listening out for context and making decisions about what we think is the most important topic in the extract. So with all of that being said, let's get on with it. So for question number 1, you will see above my head, it is, you hear 2 colleagues, Eva and Colin, talk about a problem at work. What is Colin's opinion of the new boss? And the answer is A, she fails to consult with colleagues. If we have a look at the tape script, we can see the language where we can find that. And the great thing about engexam.info is, as you can see, you don't really need me because the answers are all underlined, or what engexam.info think are the answers, or the part in the listening which gives you your answer. So if we have a look at this bit first, John used to get us all involved in the decision-making process. This means that John, contextually, we understand him as being the previous boss. John used to get us all involved in the decision-making process, and here at the beginning of this, beginning of the thing that Colin says, she says she's just so different from her predecessor. So John used to get us all involved. Here, because she's so different, we have to make the assumption that she does not get people involved. In other words, she doesn't consult with her colleagues, and that's why the answer is A. As I said, so you're listening to the message, but with the answers, you've also got to think about it from the other side as well, which is tricky, and it does mean you have to practice this. For question number 2, it says, when talking about the problem, Eva is. Okay, so let's find what Eva's here. Well, first of all, Colin continues to complain. Yes, but she doesn't seem aware of the atmosphere here. It's the way we've always done things here. I just don't feel I can work with her. So, you know, he's moaning, complaining, and Eva says, I'd say she's just finding her feet in the new job. She'll get the hang of what we're all about. Let's focus on how much she's already achieved. So she's playing devil's advocate. She's giving Colin some positives. Let's focus on how much she's already achieved. So let's ignore the negatives because they'll sort themselves out. Let's focus on what she's done, which is, from the context, we understand is really good. So what she's doing here is that she's encouraging Colin to take a more positive approach. That's why the answer is C. Now here she says, I wouldn't let anyone tell you it's a trivial issue though. If she doesn't settle in soon and you still have issues with her, I think you should approach her direct. So what she's saying here is that your problem is not an unimportant problem, but just let time do its thing. So she's not saying that, trying to suggest that is unimportant. If we have a look at A, just to highlight a possible trap, because you might hear this and you might think, I wouldn't let anyone tell you it's a trivial issue. What she's saying is, I think it's important. And the answer here is, I think it's unimportant. So you can see here you've got to, the skill that you've got to have to listen very, very carefully to the precise message which is being communicated. For extract number 2, we hear an interview with an expert who repairs antique vases. So what's the expert doing at the start of the interview? Explaining what can ruin a restoration job. And if we have a look at our text, we can see that the answer is helpfully underlined. We have to lift all the dirt and grease off. If you don't, the pieces won't go back together again. It will fall apart. So in other words, if we don't do this, the restoration job, which is what the context is here, he's telling us about a restoration job, it will ruin, it will fall apart, it will not be done properly. And so that's our vocabulary links to A. How does the expert feel about leaving visible cracks in the finished vase? This comes to the end of the clip. Interviewer says you want the cracks to show. Some people would say that's terrible for such a valuable vase. Expert says, well, yes, they probably would, but something that's broken so extensively as this, if you cover all of the cracks up, you're really making a fake. Being broken is something that's happened to it in its lifetime, which should be recorded. And that being recorded means it's part of the vase's history, and it should be seen, because he says if you cover up the cracks, you're making a fake. So that's the reason why the answer is B. For extract number 3, on the radio you hear a visitor talking to a man about the remote island where he lives. The man wants a ferry service between the mainland and the island because he is keen to develop tourism on the island. And we can hear that in the first thing that he says, there isn't enough to work to support a population. If visitors come to the island and we have a lot to offer them, catering for them would create employment. Catering for them, in other words, giving the visitors something that they want, which basically means we're talking about tourism. And if you're in the process of giving people what they want, then you're in the process of developing something. And so that's why the answer is A. And for number 6, the speakers have different opinions about whether commercial development would spoil the unique's nature. And we know that because the woman says, don't you think it's risky? The question itself implies a different point of view. And indeed, she qualifies that by talking about the things that will happen, and at the end she says, no more paradise. So she's saying that all of this development for tourism is going to be a bad thing. And the man justifies, or rather defends his point of view, saying we can make changes without impacting on our quality of life. So in other words, we keep things as they are, even with a small amount of development. Our shops can cope with more people on the island. It will be seasonal anyway, and why would we build on the beaches? It would be crazy. So here are 2 different points of view about commercial development. There is mention about an airport, but nothing that the airport would be advantageous. For an airport to be advantageous, we would want a discussion about an airport saying pro, con, pro, con. But here there's just a conversation about the mere existence of an airport, not that there are any significant pros or cons with this. And certainly, just to eliminate the rest of the answers, building houses on the beach would be advisable. The woman doesn't suggest this, and the man rules this out completely. So there's no disagreement there. Remember, we're looking for different opinions about different things, so there's got to be disagreement or agreement. And that's why the answers are the answers. If you disagree with me, and if you disagree with engexam.info, because largely our answers, or in fact nearly completely our answers, are the same, so you don't really need me, fantastic website, then leave a comment below and I will get back to you. If you've got any questions about vocabulary or anything like that, once again, just leave a comment below. Okie dokie, make sure that you've subscribed to my channel to make sure you keep up to date with all of my content, and I'll see you in another video soon.